Let's be honest. Have you ever felt like politics is just a chaotic storm of noise? I mean, it's one of the most talked about subjects on the planet, but it also feels like one of the most misunderstood. Well, today, we're going to change that.
You know the feeling. You turn on the news, you scroll through your phone, and it's just this avalanche of opinions, arguments, and conflict. It's totally overwhelming, right? It almost makes you want to just tune it all out. But what if I told you there was a tool designed specifically to cut through all that noise?
That tool is political science. And no, it's not just about memorizing the names of politicians or presidents. Think of it more like a set of X-ray glasses for society. It lets us see the hidden structures of power, of government, and most importantly, it helps us understand the fascinating, kind of messy, and surprisingly predictable human behaviors that drive the whole thing.
And what's really amazing is how simple it can be at its core. A political scientist named Harold Lasswell boiled it all down to this one classic definition. Seriously, that's it. It's all about the distribution of stuff. Resources, power, you name it. Who has it, who wants it, and how do they try to get it? This one simple question is really the key that unlocks everything we're about to explore.
So, how do we even begin to make sense of a field this huge? Well, political scientists have a toolkit with a few different lenses, and each one is designed to focus on a specific piece of this giant puzzle. Let's open it up and take a look.
So, there are four main lenses in this toolkit. First up, we've got comparative politics. This is where we compare different countries to ask those really big questions, like why is South Korea a democracy but North Korea is a dictatorship? Next, international relations zooms way out to look at the global stage. You know, how countries make alliances, why they go to war, and how they build organizations like the UN. Then there's political theory, which is all about diving into the big, heavy ideas like justice, freedom, and power. We're talking everything from ancient Greek philosophers to modern thinkers. And finally, national politics zooms right in, putting a single country under the microscope to understand its own unique laws, courts, and elections.
All right, now here's where things get really interesting. There's kind of this secret debate that's been raging at the heart of political science for a long, long time. And this tension has pretty much shaped everything about how we study the field.
So here's the big question. Are there predictable underlying laws of political behavior that we can discover, just like in physics or chemistry? Or is politics ultimately about human judgment, big ideas, and historical moments, things you just can't measure in a lab? Is it an art or a science?
On one side, you've got the politics as art perspective. This is all about studying the great thinkers like Aristotle to wrestle with these timeless concepts of justice and virtue. But on the other side, you have the politics as science folks. Their approach is all about data, statistics, and testing hypotheses to find predictable patterns in how people and governments actually behave.
And this debate, it's not new at all. It's been evolving for over a century. See, political science started out as a mostly historical and legal field. But back in the 1920s, a push began for a more, scientific approach. And by the 1960s, this thing just exploded into what's called the behavioral revolution, where data became king. And let me tell you, it led to some very passionate arguments.
And when I say passionate, I mean it. The philosopher Leo Strauss delivered this absolutely blistering critique back in 1962. He argued that by focusing so much on numbers and data, political scientists were completely ignoring the huge moral and ethical crises of the day. They were, as he put it, fiddling while Rome burns. I mean, that just shows you how high the stakes were in this debate.
So is it an art or a science? Maybe it's a little bit of both. But no matter which side of that debate you land on, the raw material of politics is always the same thing. Us. People. So let's zoom in on the human side of all this.
First off, there's something called political behavior. This is just a fancy term for any action that relates to authority or government. It's the doing part of politics. It's what we can actually see and observe people do.
And that behavior tends to fall into two big categories. Conventional participation is, playing by the rules, voting, joining a political party, that kind of thing. But unconventional participation is all about pushing the boundaries, protests, strikes, civil disobedience. And here's a really crucial trend that's happening right now. All around the world, conventional participation is often declining, while unconventional participation seems to be on the rise. And that tells us something really important about how people are choosing to make their voices heard today. So what drives all that behavior? Well, the answer is something called political culture. This is the underlying belief system, the shared ideas and values that shape how an entire society thinks about politics. You can think of it as the invisible software that's running all the political hardware.
A great way to see political culture in action is to just look at leadership. In a deferential culture, the leader is often seen as a kind of savior or a boss who just knows best, and followers are pretty much expected to obey. But in a more egalitarian culture, the leader is more like a team captain. Followers expect to participate, to have their voices heard, and even to disagree. Understanding that one difference is totally key to understanding why politics plays out so differently all across the world.
Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground. The big question, though, is why does any of this matter to you in your day-to-day life? Let's bring it all home.
The thing is, politics isn't some abstract thing happening far away. It is literally everywhere. When you call the police or the fire department, that's government. Your fundamental rights and civil liberties, that's all political. Even the price of your textbooks or what you pay for healthcare is often the result of some fundamentally political decisions. It's shaping your world whether you're paying attention to it or not.
So what skills do you actually get from all this? For starters, you learn to think critically, to look past the easy, splashy headlines. You start to understand the why behind what's happening in the news. You get way better at building strong, evidence-based arguments. And maybe, just maybe the most important one, you learn to see the nuance, the shades of gray in a world that is almost never as simple as just black and white.
And that, right there, is the real power. See, anyone can watch the news, but political science gives you the framework to actually analyze it, to understand the powerful forces that are moving just beneath the surface. It's really the difference between being a passive spectator and being a truly informed citizen.
So, in the end, political science isn't about finding easy answers, because, let's face it, there rarely are any. The real value is learning how to ask better, sharper, more insightful questions. So, now that you've got some new tools in your kit, what questions will you ask?